Hello, I'm John Roberts, and welcome to the CBS Evening News Online Edition. Just ahead, Hurricane Katrina comes ashore in South Florida. Mark Strassman has the latest on the big storm. Also, you'd never think that maggots and leeches would be part of modern medicine, but indeed they are, and now the FDA is regulating their use. We'll have that story for you. And you'll meet an artist whose photographs are so big and so detailed, even the government is taking an interest. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News Online Edition. And Bob is off tonight. Hurricane Katrina is making landfall this evening along the heavily populated Atlantic coast of Florida. It's packing top sustained winds of 75 miles an hour with higher gusts. But the main danger from Katrina is flooding because some areas could get as much as 20 inches of rain. Mark Strassman begins our storm coverage for us tonight. He's in the thick of it in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Mark.
John, along with these heavy winds and rains, all the power is out in this neighborhood, and the beach is a stinging sandstorm. Katrina is showing its muscle.
Katrina soaked the Bahamas, bulking up and bound for Florida, where it's expected to hit land as a Category 1 hurricane and dump more than a foot of rain. Millions of people on Florida's southeast coast are now under a hurricane warning from Jupiter Inlet to Florida City, just above the Keys. And one potential bullseye, this area around Boca Raton, is under a mandatory evacuation order. To storm trackers, Katrina is reminiscent of Hurricane Irene 6 years ago, a slow-moving, weak hurricane. But Irene flooded parts of South Florida with 20 inches of rain and caused $600 million in damages. As Katrina moved in, some Floridians were moving out, and Governor Jeb Bush had his own storm warning.
People need to take this storm seriously.
But in Boca Raton, police weren't even enforcing the mandatory order to get out. And just south of Boca, 1 block from the beach, few people were worried or leaving.
You've seen worse.
Yes.
And you're staying put.
Yes.
Tourists shopped, stores stayed open.
Because nobody's leaving, you're staying open.
Exactly. I feel like I'm still a gentleman in business here, and I'm doing pretty decent so far.
Every hurricane has holdouts, even in a state battered by 4 major hurricanes just last year, with damage in the tens of billions of dollars. But to many South Floridians, Katrina seems like a ho-hum storm. Heavy rain means put on your hood, not head out of town. And to emergency officials, that's always the most worrisome attitude of all.
Forecasters say Katrina's eye will cross here in Broward County. With all the hurricanes that have struck Florida over the decades, this will be the first time a hurricane has made landfall in this county in 41 years. John?
Mark, you've covered a lot of hurricanes. Obviously, you're having no trouble getting wet in this one. How does Katrina compare to other ones you've been in?
It's pretty significant right now. I mean, the winds and the rain are strong. It's not a Category 3 by any means, but it's nothing to take lightly either. The people who stuck this out may regret it.
All right, we'll let you get back inside. Mark Strassman in Deerfield Beach. Thanks. For more on what to expect from Katrina, we turn now to hurricane expert Brian Norcross of CBS station WFOR in Miami. Brian, how are things looking down there?
John, it's raining and blowing in parts of South Florida right now, and it looks like it's going to get worse here as the storm comes ashore just in the next few hours. But then after that, the question is, how far is it going to go before the rain finally ends? It looks like it could rain here all the way into Saturday, and the rain could be heavy. So flooding is definitely a potential here, and power outages are a concern because we have the strong winds and the saturated ground, and that very often brings down the power poles.
And after it crosses the peninsula there, what's the potential for reforming, re-strengthening?
Expected to re-strengthen, and it could be another hurricane for the Panhandle.
All right. Brian Norcross in Miami, thanks. Government advisory panel met today to discuss the use of live leeches and maggots for the medical treatment of people. And if you think that's disgusting and weird, well, the FDA has already approved them as medical devices. Contributing correspondent Dr. Malika Marshall is here now to explain leeches, maggots, and medicine. Malika.
Quite a topic this evening, John. Well, the FDA wants to give these creepy crawlers a medical makeover and set up guidelines for how they should be used in treatment.
Pull them off me.
For many people, the thought of leeches conjures up movie images of dangerous bloodsuckers. But in reality, leeches and even maggots have wormed their way back into modern medical practice. Today, leeches are used to drain excess blood in transplant surgery and when body parts are reattached, say after an industrial accident. Maggots, it turns out, are particularly good at cleaning hard-to-heal wounds, like those suffered by diabetics. Until now, neither has been subject to much regulation. The FDA decision today means every time a company wants to sell medicinal leeches and maggots, their product would have to be reviewed by the FDA.
So now that these little critters have been regulated and approved as medical devices, how does this magical device work?
Well, I have some lovely leeches for you to take a look at right here. And actually, they work in a number of ways. First of all, they produce a blood thinner that keeps the blood vessel from clotting off. They also secrete something that dilates the blood vessel so you get good blood flow. And then they also release an antibiotic and an anesthetic. So they're not particularly attractive, but they're incredibly useful.
All wrapped up in one package. And aren't you glad that there's glass between you and the package?
I sure am. They give me the willies.
Malika Marshall, thanks very much. Well, here's something you probably didn't know. Lip syncing is no longer allowed in Turkmenistan on orders from President Niyazov, who has banned lots of things, including long hair and gold teeth. Shocked to learn that singers sometimes mouth the words to recordings, he added lip syncing to the forbidden list, saying it has a negative effect on the development of musical art. We close tonight with a visual art, the big picture, big, beautiful, amazingly detailed. It's the work of a photographer who had to build his own camera to achieve his artistic goals, and his startling success has attracted interest far outside of the world of art. Richard Schlesinger has his story.
Artist Clifford Ross is living proof that the key to success is thinking big. His pictures are so big that you could be forgiven for thinking you are looking out a picture window. But it's not just the size that makes these photographs remarkable.
There are 3 crows, I think.
It's the detail that gets even sharper as you zoom in.
With a lot of pictures, the closer you get, the less you see. With this one, the closer you get, the more you see.
It's impossible to see very much at all looking closely at any picture you or I might take. The closer you get to most pictures, the less you see. But nothing's lost on a Ross photo.
If you look up close here, you can see the horses grazing.
That horse is about 2 miles away.
I think he's looking at us.
Yeah, and the consensus here, we had several meetings, is that the horse, in fact, is headed in our direction, but noshing.
There's a science to Ross's art. Each of his giant negatives becomes a 2.6 gigabyte file. That's about 100 times more data than advanced digital cameras.
That's it.
But Ross's camera looks anything but advanced.
To me, this looks like one of those old-fashioned portrait cameras.
And essentially it is. It's an old-fashioned portrait camera on steroids.
And it uses old-fashioned film, housed in a holder originally built in 1943.
This thing could have flown reconnaissance missions during World War II.
Ross expected the art world to be interested, but he was surprised when he heard from NASA.
Artists and rocket scientists don't often meet, I shouldn't think.
It's a shame, too.
And his work has also attracted the eye of the super-secret National Security Agency. While developing his photos, he also developed a talent for seeing how minute details fit together. And that's what the intelligence agency and other scientists want to learn from him.
Part of my interaction with the scientists is essentially saying, look, take a step back. Do the details come together into a big picture?
And more than almost anybody, Clifford Ross understands the big picture. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, New York.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join us on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Friday's broadcast, spending less on gasoline, the price patrol rolls across the Great Plains where Nebraska drivers have found a way to save. For CBSNews.com, I'm John Roberts.